Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Munch, munch, munch.
Hello and welcome to Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenges of being a mad in modern society and whatever the hell that even means. I'm Kane, and joining me today to chat mad stuff are Ryan and Maddie. Firstly, gents, how were your weekends?
Had a great day yesterday, bit of work on the cubby house. It's coming along nicely. Got the roof truss started. It looks like a truss. Don't know if it's all, if the angles are all right, but yeah. So that was yesterday, and today Father's Day. So
very mad. Matthew, how's your Father's Day?
We had a great day today. Yeah. So I woke up to a nice breakfast. The girls cooked me some bacon and eggs, and I was very spoilt in the present department. They got me a scooter. I've never scooted before, but I thought it might be a bit of a challenge, but I managed to not come unstuck or, graze the knees or anything. So that was a bit of fun this afternoon with the kids.
Now, the girls, are they old enough to legitimately sort of contribute to cooking breakfast, or is it still sort of, somebody else is doing it and they just bring it in and claim credit for it?
The eldest one, the 6-year-old, can butter toast now and put the spreads on. So that's her contribution, and the 3-year-old likes to think she can whip up a storm in the kitchen, but thinks she can do more than she actually can.
That's a pretty good day though for a Father's Day, because it's one of those. I always think it's one of those, when I say it's a holiday, it's one of those things which I always thought has been put together by a card organisation, like it's a Hallmark holiday or something like Valentine's Day or Valentine's Day. Now apparently Father's Day has been celebrated for like hundreds of years through sort of. I think it's still a sort of Catholic sort of based holiday to some degree, but since the Middle Ages. But I legitimately thought it would just be another Hallmark sort of arrangement just to sell cards, but it turns out it's not.
I think as opposed to Valentine's Day, which is one of those made-up days, I think Father's Day is a great way to just stop and pause and reflect about your father, whether they're still around or not. Give them a call, just to catch up. You may not see your father as much as you'd like to. I know mine's down in Melbourne, so I sent him a message this morning, speak to this afternoon, so I got him a blower, and just a 10-20 minute chat. And it's one of those days that you sort of set aside, and you're always going to speak to your dad. And from being a father myself, it's just great that the kids sort of pamper you, and it's just your day to sort of do whatever you want. For this year, when they asked me what I'd like to do, I just sort of thought, what would they like to do? And I know that they've been to this sanctuary a couple of weeks ago, the wife and the youngest one. And I said to the oldest one, well, maybe let's go there. They had a fairy garden and like a little nature trail and things like that. So I think it was a little bit more for them, but seeing the smiles on their faces is reward enough for me for Father's Day.
That's very nice. Does it make a difference with your dad not being in the state? Like, obviously you call him on Father's Day. Like you're saying before, do you think about that he's not closer on Father's Day, or it probably doesn't matter now, but do you think about it more?
When I first moved into state, I did miss the Father's Day catch up. So we'd tend to either go around to his house or we'd sort of meet somewhere and just catch up. We do have that here with my wife's father, but he's overseas at the moment. But generally, we'll catch up and go to the local for a sit down lunch with all the family, which I think is a lovely little tradition that we've started here. So we did miss out on that this year. Yeah, with Dad being down south, it does. Yeah, you sort of do miss those days because it's nice for him to sort of also catch up with the grandkids as well. And it's just one of those days where everyone comes together and be in contact with your dad. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Ryan, how was your weekend?
Caught up with some friends last night for dinner and went over to some friends' place on Friday night for dinner as well. And both of them both couples will be having their first Father's Day next year, halfway through pregnancy of their first little ones. So it's good just catching up with them. But yeah, if I'm completely honest, I actually spent most of the day working. Just got a really busy week coming up.
And obviously you have a different sort of relationship on your parents' side. So what does Father's Day mean in your situation?
Yeah, so mine's probably a bit different. So a bit of background in my situation. My dad is probably been the better part of close to estranged for the last 5 years. Partly to do with a very nasty divorce there, and one of those sort of horror stories that has happened. So we do have a very interesting relationship. When we were younger, Father's Day was big, and Dad was very involved, and that was really good. So it is different and a bit weird now. But funny enough, only 3-4 weeks ago, I did see him when I was down in Sydney Airport. So he's down Sydney way, and I caught up with him before I flew back to Melbourne. But that would have been probably the first time in 18 months to 2 years that we'd seen. So, I mean, I texted him today about Father's Day and got a thanks back. But we do it's still a very building relationship there. So that kind of probably gives a bit of an indication of what it means for us on this front. That being said, though, I did actually give my mum a buzz, because I usually call her on both Mother's Day and Father's Day, sort of being a real single parent figure that we had throughout childhood. So we sort of give her a touch point as well, and just a bit of acknowledgement that for a lot of it she did play two roles. But I did have a chat with my dad today. As weird as that is a little bit, but I think we're getting there slowly. We'll see how it goes though.
And imagine it would be a slow process, I guess, building back up that relationship and trust within that relationship. But what's the thing these days? There's different family types. Like you can have two dads, you can have two mums, you can have a single mum, you can have a single dad. You can have all sorts of different sort of family arrangements. And I think the important thing is just acknowledging the parents, be it male, female, or whatever they identify as. That you kind of give them the thanks for what they've done at that point, and that can be just a single parent. So I think that's the important part, is just probably just saying thanks for everything whoever that person has done for you, and up until wherever you are.
Yeah, I think that probably a really good point that you highlight there. I saw a really good post just today when I was on Instagram about a guy who, I think his dad might have passed away or something when he was young, and he posted about his stepdad that he's had for 22 years about Father's Day, that he's been an amazing figure. What you said, like just acknowledging the parent and people that have done something for you. Like we go out to brunch every Sunday morning, and where we went was just packed, and it was families there, but it wasn't necessarily just a kid and Father's Day and that kind of thing. There was generations of people there, which was really cool to see, and everyone was sort of just using it as a good reason. And like what you said, Matt, that you kind of go to the local and a couple of generations, and it's just also connecting with them and taking a day out is pretty cool.
Both my grandfathers have passed on now, so my mum's dad and my dad's dad have both passed away, and I don't know anything about my dad's dad at all, to be honest. He passed away when I was really young, and my dad still gets a bit emotional when he's brought up, especially on days like today, like just remembering his father from years and years ago. So it would have been sort of the best part of 35, 40 years ago that he passed away, but days like today where they'll go and visit the gravesite and pay their respects and just think about again, those people who've been really important to their lives. And it doesn't necessarily have to be your direct father or your direct mother. It's just whoever's really important to you in that sort of father figure role. I think it's hard in that situation, and having parents interstate, I find that difficult as well. But I guess the good side of that is you're not lobbied with that sort of family pressure to turn up at certain times to do certain things, which sometimes happens as well. So there's pros and cons of having parents interstate.
Yeah, there is. Like I definitely was very productive today, so my week should be a lot better, because I think it was even Friday when somebody's like, oh, what are you doing the weekend, as people do, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, I've got a bit of work to do, and I'll catch up with some friends and we'll do this, and they're like, what are you doing on Sunday? And then you kind of forget that most other people are fully booked. And I think, my mum, similar, her dad, I think, passed away when she was 16, so we never met him or anything like that. And I do know that even touching base with her, she gets, she does like the appreciation for the Parents' Day that we do. Like you said, it's a tough one for people that maybe don't have as normal get together and that kind of thing. But today, there's like families are so different to what it used to be, that I think everyone has their own sort of way of connecting, which is good and bad, but it is what it is today.
Did your little fella Kane have anything with daycare or anything like that?
Not really. I think the good thing about in those situations is you generally get something handmade from the kid that they've made themselves. He's probably not at that stage yet. I got some scribble on a card. But the best thing was he actually said, "Happy Father's Day, Daddy," and he'd never been able to say anything like that before on a Father's Day or on a birthday. So that was really cool. That's something which I'll probably never forget until I do forget it. But it was really nice.
Yeah, that's really great when they can start saying those words. We this year, from my little one from school, each year they have a little stall, and you can send them along with $5-10. And this year I got the Dad of the Year, or the world's favourite dad mug.
I got that as well.
A lot of people probably got that.
It's like a tie break. Oh, who really is?
But last year, I thought it was funny. She got me a tie, which she always insists I wear. So a lot of the days I sort of put it on, and then once I've dropped her off at school, I guess I undo it in the car, put it on the seat, and then just put it back on when I go and pick her up, because it doesn't go with every shirt I've got, but she seems to think it does. So.
What is it? It's just a pattern tie. It's not a sort of a Looney Tunes
Oh,
tie.
it's one of those.
18,
No, it's nothing crazy like a keyboard piano tie, nothing like that. But yeah, you got to love their their sense of adventure. These little kids. They even the littlest one is always wearing superhero costumes to daycare and things like that. And there's a lot of kids doing that, which is which is very cute to see. Whether or not it just helps them get out the door in the morning, or they just love dressing up. But whatever gets them out the door, I guess.
It does seem a lot more individuality in the way kids dress these days. Like we used to have to dress in the same uniform and basically the same sort of tracksuit pants from Kmart or Target or whatever existed back in the day. Now there's a lot of different options out there.
Yeah, it would be cool if we could go to work in superhero costumes, though.
That is a very good point. It sounds a lot like fatherhood, actually. Just keep on bouncing back after illness and bouncing back after anything. It's just, it's intense some days. Like even today, like it's Father's Day. All you really want for Father's Day is maybe a break for a couple of hours from like the everyday, but it doesn't stop. Like, he said, little fella said, "Oh, happy Father's Day, Dad," and that was great. But then, 15 minutes later, he was, hitting a little mallet on the wall. So like, while it's Father's Day, it's all nice and happy and stuff. It's still an everyday, and that's what I kind of think of Father's Day as well. It's nice to acknowledge people and acknowledge parents and be acknowledged, but unfortunately, it doesn't really change the behaviour of the kid at all.
No, that's for sure. The world doesn't really stop, does it, when it's Father's Day? I mean, it is nice to have that little break in the morning and whatnot, but as the day goes on, I think the kids sort of forget that it's Father's Day, but they're just kids, I suppose. But and everything else just picks up where it left off. So this afternoon, I was we had the kids outside, and they were jumping around in the backyard, and I just pulled out the lawnmower only because it had to be done. But the kids were out there, and I was still spending time with them, and they were running around screaming and sort of playing chasey with the lawnmower, which I probably shouldn't have let them do, but it's Father's Day.
Chasing the lawnmower. Yeah, not much entertainment up in Queensland, mate.
No, we're pretty strapped for ideas. Even the eldest one actually said, "Oh, I'm so bored." I said, "Well, your imagination is just shot because you're always on the iPad or something like that. What do you want to do?" She goes, "Oh, can I get the trampoline out?" I said, "Go for it. Just pull it out. Don't ask me. Just grab it."
So, Matty, do you find that because your kids are a little bit older, oldest is a bit older, do you find that Father's Day is different from a couple of years ago, or can you start to see that it will be a little bit different as they get a bit older, or is it sort of much of the same?
No, it's completely different. So like Kane was saying before, like his little guy saying Happy Father's Day, and that was sort of it from him. When the eldest was Kane's son's age, that was pretty much the same thing as well. So they'd say Happy Father's Day, they'd bring home the card they made or that they made at home, give that to you, and that was pretty much it for the day. But now the eldest one is like, "Oh, Dad, are you having a great day? What can I do for you? Can I call you Prince Daddy for the day?" and all this kind of stuff. So each year they're sort of building on, and they're recognizing what the day's about for them, and they just want to make you happy, which is absolutely fantastic. And just seeing the smile on their face when you say to them, "Oh, I'm having the best day ever. Thanks so much for my presents," is very rewarding. So Kane, next year he'll probably step up, and he might you'll get those bacon and eggs or even a roast dinner or something like that, but not too far away.
Well, I think again that's that really important thing where they're trying to put something on which makes you happy, which in turn makes them happy. So it's that cycle of giving. Like they're giving something to you which makes you happy, and in turn that makes them happy. It's just that acknowledgement again that we're all doing the best that we can as fathers and as guys. That just that acknowledgement every now and again that you're doing well is it's nice to get.
Yeah, it's a good point that you make there, but I reckon you've probably got a window there, Matt, for the next 7 odd years until they really start to become teenagers and that, and then I think it'll start to be like, all right, your day's over, breakfast is done. So maybe you can capitalize when they go, "Are you happy in that?" You go, "Oh, I'd be even happier if this was clean or this was done." Do you guys find that, being dads yourselves, you look at Father's Day differently with your dads? Everyone that we talk to goes, "Oh, enjoy the life while you can before you have kids," and when you have kids, everything will change and the way that you think about things will change. So, I'm wondering if you guys have any reflections on that with, rather than the kids to you, but you to your actual dads there.
For me, Father's Day, it was completely different when I was growing up compared to what it is now for me. From what I remember, Father's Day was a lot of we'd do the whole cook the breakfast in the morning, but that was pretty much it. We might have gone and seen my dad's dad the night before for a Saturday dinner, perhaps, and then Saturday after breakfast was really just doing stuff around the house. There was never really any, one-on-one dad time, I guess, where we'd go and do a, family activity or something like that. It was more just, we lived on a bit of a property, so it was always, cutting wood or something like that, which I guess we were spending time with Dad, but in terms of, I think maybe from a kid's point of view, it wasn't, as fun as it probably could have been, which is why for Father's Day for me now, I try and make the point of, spending as much time as I can doing something the kids will enjoy. So not something that they would think is sort of mundane or boring. So I don't know, Dad, if you're going to listen to this, I do love you. But Father's Days from what I remember were pretty
Just sounds like he put you to work on Father's Day.
Yeah, which was probably give him a day off, I guess. Yeah, maybe I'm remembering it worse than what it was, but yeah, that was Father's Day for me.
Yeah, I don't think it's not really changed so much for me. I'd never put too much value on these, and I still think you should be able to show appreciation for people you need to, when you need to. It doesn't need to be on a specific day of the year, but I can understand why a specific day makes it easier to show that appreciation. It's just a lot easier because you can buy a card for it. But I don't think it's really changed for me so much. But like Matt said, it used to be a fair bit different, where now when you're married and there's two sides of the family and your dad yourself, you have to take your kid into account with them maybe wanting to do something nice with you, and then trying to incorporate doing something with your dad as well. So a Mother's or a Father's Day, it turns into almost a weekend where you're trying to coordinate all sorts of different things into it. So you can spend a bit of time, or at least talk to your dad for a while, and then do the same thing with your kids. So yeah, if anything, it becomes more time consuming instead of just rocking up for a breakfast or making breakfast in bed when you were younger. Yeah, so it definitely changes. Knowing what how hard it is to bring up a kid now, and certainly acknowledge the parents a lot more. They did such a good job. Well, I think they did a good job.
You got some more appreciation, do you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those things that until you've walked that mile, sometimes it's hard to understand just how hard some of those times are. A lot of the times it's not hard, but some of the times you're just like, oh my God, this is really hard. So yeah, that appreciation around that I think has changed since having one of our own.
I mean, it's interesting. It's even like the Father's Day that you guys had when you were kids, kind of search up for thinking about how you do your Father's Day and that sort of thing. Like my memories of that, we were interstate as well. So whilst TK and I interstate here, I'm sort of always been used to that because Mum's dad had passed away, and then so there was that. But even if not, they would have been over in Perth, and we lived in Sydney for most of the childhood till Perth. Dad's family's all in South Australia, so it was sort of the phone call and have a chat and do that. But then we'd do stuff as a family, which was good. But I noticed for the first couple of years when we were together, which TK had also moved away from being home, that there was just like a bit of a adjustment period of just getting used to not being around that family all the time. But me growing up, like I always looked at it possibly slightly insensitively, where I'm just like, yeah, live in another state. But that was just sort of where our experiences were. So we never really had the whole catch up with the grandparents and the weekend that you're saying, Kane, where you go to one and then you go to another and that sort of thing. So I think a lot of that can just shape what you think of it. But you made a good point there about just acknowledging, and these days are great to remember to acknowledge people. It's probably a good thing to also remember that we should probably not just wait for days like this to acknowledge important people in our lives, whether they're guys or girls type thing. Especially today with all the changes of roles of just everybody and the pace that we're in and the digital age that we're in and all this, it's probably a good thing to remember to take 5 minutes out and just sort of acknowledge people on days like today, but also days not like today, because I think the world's only getting busier, and the more that we can just touch base and acknowledge important people, the better things could be.
Wholeheartedly agree, and I acknowledge you both for doing a fantastic job at just being great dudes.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, buddy.
That about wraps it up for this week. Thanks for listening, and we will be back next week for another episode, or should I say, serving of Daddy Eats Last. How's that for a dad joke? Catch you next week.
Bye bye. Bye bye.